Adesh. I have already moved to the mountains and the background a little bit different. I promised to do a little live stream about the dual and non-dual perspectives, Mahamaya and Mahavidya. Duality is very simple, right? You can see yourself and you can see the speaker, for example. You can see the flowers, you can see the walls, the nature, city, different other people. And then you can see yourself. This is duality, difference between you and the world. From the 5 perceptions perspective, straightforward. My hand is here, your hand is there. The duality appears because there is I and there is world. And everything that belongs to me is mine. Everything that doesn't belong to me is not mine. Sounds simple and pretty comprehensive. Yoga state is about non-duality, when there is no difference between you and the world. And this is where the things start being mysterious to most of the people. Because this perception goes beyond 5 senses, beyond ability to see with the eyes, to hear with the ears, to taste with the tongue, to touch with the skin, and to smell with the nose. The non-dual perception is beyond 5 senses, which is totally clear as well, but it is not as easy as to comprehend the duality, me and not me. All yoga state is about exploring what is non-duality. In a way, you may say exploring what is the nature of the universe. The perception of God also comes from 2 philosophic standpoints. The first philosophic standpoint is about duality. So there is God somewhere there is God, and there is I. And it is very clear for people, very comprehensible, that it can be this way. God is somewhere and we are here. This is the whole philosophy, whole concept, which is, it is a working concept. It's totally fine. And then there is non-dual perception, when there is no difference between I and God. And again, yoga state is more about non-duality. But when people hear that you say, I am God, they can imagine very, very different things, because they start taking attributes of what they think or who they think God is and putting those attributes on themselves or on you. For example, if you say, I am God, it might appear that people think that you are all powerful and you can, I don't know, make cars move the way that you love and neglect traffic jams. So people think about it most of the time down to the earth in their dual way, in the way they see the world. This is why talking that or saying that I am God, it is kind of sometimes very thought-provoking. Now let's go into the real practice. If you believe that the God is somewhere and you're here, again, this is one of the philosophical dogmas, which is totally fine. The practice in this perspective is based on your devotion and dedication. People who practice following the idea that there is God and there is I, they dedicate everything, every action, every thought to the God. And the belief is that you cannot become the God, but you can come as close as the person can to the level of God. There is such a word, bhakti, very nice word that means devotion or dedication. So they practice this dedication, bhakti, to God. And at some level, at some moment of practice, they attain the same state that the other philosophy or dogma will attain. So, in fact, the resulting state, the yoga state, will be the same. There is no difference. But the path, what brings you to this state will be different. And throughout all your life, you can perceive the fact that there is God somewhere or here, but it is different from you as a person, as a being. This is why there will be such a thing as your own soul and the world soul, and your own incarnation, your own birth, and then there is the whole world. This is duality. The non-duality is, in a way, when you see that your soul and the whole world soul are the same. In Nath tradition, Natha's perspective, we follow both paths in a way. So I won't say that one of the paths is kind of strictly the way of perception, because Nathas, they are open to all the religions and all the beliefs. That's totally fine. And this is why in Nath Sampradaya, there is that dual, non-dual perspective. And the core difference is that following Nath tradition, practicing yoga in Nath tradition, brings you to realization of the world soul in you. So you can see and think about God being somewhere, and then you having your own soul, and then you, in a way, evolve spiritually and get different experiences that might suggest there is no difference between you and God. But in the end of the day, it is both. What's interesting, it is both. So it is okay to perceive Jivatman or individual soul and Parabrahma, the universal soul, and to see it both as different and equal at the same time. This is not a path. I'd say it is kind of the middle path between those two radical, maybe two different perspectives. When you say God is somewhere, I'm here, or you say God is me only. It is somewhere in between, the middle path. And now that we understand this foundation, or this kind of basis, we can look at Mahamaya and Mahavidya from a very interesting perspective. Mahamaya is considered to be all the material world, all the world that we perceive with the five senses, right? Also called samsara, where all the births happen, and it exists because we experience it for us. When we practice and get to the state of yoga, our five senses, they in a way lower their impact on our perception, and then the higher senses appear. So we usually are externally oriented, and we perceive all the things around us. And then during yoga practice, on yoga path, we return our senses in a way inwards or to the core. And in that core, we experience non-duality. Again, sounds really easy. You remember Yoga Sutras Patanjali, Pratyahara, and all the Samyama. Easy said, but it requires journey to comprehend. So if something sounds like mystical for now, or something has not been realized in practice, or in a way it is not yet very clear what we are talking about, that's totally fine. It's okay not to understand things. And there are very few people who are really realized in this life spiritually, and those are our gurus. Those are our teachers. Those are people who can give us the answers. So it is totally fine not to understand things. Otherwise, there would be no learning, no this telegram or this whole world, because all this is mainly for us to perceive and to learn. And if we understand everything at once, if we are supernaturally knowledgeable, then what will be the sense of communication and the sense of discussion and learning itself, uncovering the experiences? Back to Mahamaya Mahavidya. Mahavidya is, okay, Vidya is a way of to say knowledge. Maha is great. So the great knowledge, I love how Guruji Lakshmanath says, it is everywhere in Mahamaya, everywhere in this world. So you take any petal and Mahavidya is there. You take any little dimension of this samsaric world and the great knowledge is there, because it is what brings all this world together. This is why it is possible, by living in society, by living in this world, to learn the greater knowledge. If it would be detached, if our world would be different from the knowledge, we would need to escape the world and then come to the bigger knowledge. But because it is interconnected, by living in this world, we can actually explore the higher knowledge, and we can experience yoga state, and we can experience non-duality. Otherwise, it would be just impossible. Like, we would need to leave our bodies somewhere, to go somewhere, I don't know where, and then uncover the greater truth. Yet, it is all the, I would say, different direction. We are in this body, and by being in this body, we can uncover the knowledge about the universe. The legend says that even gods, they want to incarnate in human body, because the human body gives the full realization of this world of and getting the knowledge about everything. What can I say? I don't know. I don't remember myself being God. I know memory from the previous lives. But for what can be true, it is definitely possible in this body to practice spiritually, and we know this all. The nice thing about Mahamaya Mahavidya story is that it doesn't really matter what direction you look. Because they are always connected, because we are constantly experiencing both, it is just the question where our attention goes. And this is why I'm returning really back to the very beginning of the conversation. You can follow either paths. You can think about the world that God is everywhere, but I, and I'm dedicated to God, and by the God's grace, I will learn the things, and that will work. Or you can think about the fact that you are the universe itself, and in yourself you can uncover all the experiences, and that will work as well. So the perspective is in the way a lighthouse that is giving you the direction, and your practice, it really uncovers the truth. Just philosophy without practice, I'm not sure it will work, to be honest. understanding how the world operates, knowing some rules without real experience, not likely. From the Nath perspective, this middle path between duality and non-duality, this is the experience of all. And one more interesting, distinguished characteristics of Nath Sampradaya and Nath Yoga is that by following this middle path, Nath believe that we can realize God in the body. So the concept of God realization in the body appears. If you are familiar with Jivan Mukti, this is it. When you live in this bodily physical world, and at the same time you have the realized God in you at all times. So both things at the same time. I have heard that there are few who has achieved this state. I do believe that it is absolutely possible. Maybe it takes many lives. For some people, it might not be just interesting when they attain some level of realization. It is up to those people who realize the deep states of yoga to decide what is their call in this world. So I want to say that we need to dedicate our life to understanding if we want to be Jivan Muktas. There is no need in this. When you are realize you know what you need to do and you know what you will do. If there are questions, this is still work of mind, which is totally fine as well, because mind never leaves us. It's just a question if we can control our mind or the mind controls us. Recap, and I'm finishing. We started with the concepts of duality and non-duality. Duality is I'm here, God is somewhere, maybe everywhere, but there is difference between I and God. Non-duality is I am here and God is I. And the ninth path is both duality and non-duality at the same time. In duality, people would follow the practice of devotion and dedication of all their life to God, and then they will, in our way to say, they will reach yoga state. In non-duality, people will most likely go and live monastic life, more of the meditation, more of the internal practices. Not practice both. And this is how we also know that the great knowledge and the samskaric life, the Mahavidya and Mahamaya, they're also interconnected. Because if they were not, we would not be able to realize the higher truth, higher knowledge in our own body, in our own consciousness, individual consciousness, which also is universal consciousness. Thank you so very much for your time, and I'm always happy to have this chance doing some recordings. If you have any questions that you think should be covered, or any questions that are of interest to you, please tell about it. You can leave comments in the channel. You can reach out directly. Good luck, and remember that this is by the grace of our gurus or our guru, which we can realize the higher truth in our life. Adesh.